Ada for not postponing our wedding to accommodate my Sil, not the a-hole. My fiance, MM28, and I, F28, are set to be married in December. We got engaged in June 23rd and decided on the wedding date a year and a half in advance for everyone's convenience. We have been dating since 10 years and have been saving up for the wedding since 5 years to be able to afford an extravagant wedding in a palace in India. And we finally made those arrangements. My husband's sister has always been a golden child. She always got what she asked for, as opposed to my husband, who they treat like a cash cow. Every time his mother needs anything expensive, he's the first call she makes. I try not getting between them, but she's never shown any interest in his life. Coming to the wedding, we sent out save the dates in December 2023 for people to plan their holidays/plans way in advance. My Sil got married 3 years back. It was a nice wedding, but not as fancy as ours. When she knew about the plans, she started finding problems in everything to a point where my husband asked her to stop interfering. Last week, we got a call from her in all excitement to tell us she was pregnant and is expecting a child in December. Both of us were shocked but happy for her and congratulated her. She then proceeded saying, "So you can just come to SF to get married at the city hall. I would need help with the baby." I was baffled and told her the wedding is still on, and her having a child does not change our wedding plans. She threw a fit when I said that and hanged up. Later that day, his mom called and told us to postpone the wedding 6 months so his sister could attend it, and if we don't, then she wouldn't attend either, and that her daughter's pregnancy is a bigger event than our stupid marriage. My husband was upset and chose to not respond, but I lost my shit. I told her that if my SIL prioritized her pregnancy over our marriage, which she knew for about a year and a half, we're not obligated to prioritize her pregnancy over our happiness. My husband is speechless, and we don't know what to do. WI Beta for not postponing the wedding. Ada for speaking to my stepmom like she's dumb. My stepmom has been in my life since I was 4, and my siblings were 2 and 1. Our parents are divorced. Our mom is not in our lives anymore, and she was a very inconsistent presence even when she was in our lives. I'm 17F now, for context. I generally get along okay with my stepmom, but this past year more than any other has been so bad. It started when my sister, 14, asked Dad about Mom. It was because of something that came up in school, but my stepmom got so jealous when the question was asked. And ever since that day, she will randomly make disparaging comments about Mom around us or directly to us. She has made it a point to say, Mom didn't want us, that Mom chose mental illness over us, drugs over us. That one we never knew about, and Dad was pissed at her for telling us the way she did. She also made a comment to my brother another time when he was doing a project on DNA that DNA isn't so great when DNA doesn't want you. We all pulled away from her because of this, and her comments got worse over time, to the point where she was getting irate about the topic of Mom and us, and Mom abandoning us. I told her she wasn't helping close the distance between us with her anger and comments, and she told me we were treating her like trash for no reason and disrespecting her by bringing up the mom who abandoned us when she's right there. She told me she can't understand us treating her the way we have been for the last year, when she is the one who raised us, not our bio mom. I told her that her comments about our bio mom were exactly why we pulled back. I said we know our mom left us. We know she chose to leave. We know she isn't a good mom. But she's still our mom. She still made us. We still had a bond with her. We still have some love and mixed emotions about her. I told her nobody wants to be reminded of that day after day, or have it thrown in their face. I told her she's the adult. We're the kids. She's been throwing a year-long tantrum and diving us with her comments. I told her she wouldn't like it if we started making comments about her dad, who wasn't a great guy. And if we told her that her dad never loved her, he never wanted her. So why would we want to hear that about our mom? I told her if she doesn't want us to grow apart, then she needs to apologize and stop making those comments. And I reiterated that a couple of times, that we pulled back because of the comments, not because we're trying to disrespect her. By the end of the conversation, she told me I had spoken to her like she was dumb, and I didn't need to keep making the same point over again. She told me it made her feel disrespected, and she left the room. Ever since, there has been a new tension there. Ada for telling my Sael she should be ashamed of herself and learn to be a mature adult. My brother had 2 kids with his ex by the time he was 21. He stuck around for a couple of years. But when they broke up, he left the kids too. He paid no child support, made no effort to keep in touch with the kids, did not check if they were okay, nothing. The rest of my family let the relationship drop too. But I, 38M, was the exception. I stayed part of my niece and nephew's lives. I still have a good relationship with them today, and they're close to my kids. 5 years ago, my brother got married, and now he's expecting baby hash 3 with his wife. After settling into family life, he started to think more about his oldest too, and he made the decision to reach out to them. He was met with silence initially, and then after speaking to his ex, he got a brief message from his kids that they were still mad and hurt that he left. They had contact for about a month, and it was sporadic. He asked if they could meet in person, and the kids said no. But they said they would do a video call with him one time, and that was it. This call happened 2.5 months into their reconciliation. At some point during this, he mentioned wanting them to meet his wife and other kids. They told him that was not going to happen, and they didn't want to reconcile with him. My brother was surprised. He had thought that them opening up to him about being angry and hurt was a sign that they were willing to work through that. They told him it would be one thing if he hadn't settled down and started a family all over again, but the fact that he did that and then reached out to them was too much for them, and they want nothing to do with the family he created now. This led to a back and forth where he said they have younger siblings, and they told him very clearly they will never acknowledge or accept them as siblings, and they will never accept him as their dad, and he needs to move on. I spoke to my niece and nephew after the call. They reached out to me, and they said it was good to close that door and to have the decision be their own. They felt like they got closure. My brother wasn't prepared for the outcome, and his wife is furious that my niece and nephew rejected them for existing. She started bad-mouthing the kids at my parents' house in front of all of us. My brother told her to stop, but she told him they should be ashamed of themselves for reacting like spoiled brats who don't get their way and punishing innocent children when they're supposed to be grown adults now. I told Sil she should be ashamed of herself for talking like that about the kids my brother abandoned and didn't give a second thought to until he had settled down with her and their kids. I told her she should learn to be a mature adult and accept that his actions had consequences, and this is one of them. Cue her being offended and saying, I have no right to speak to her that way, and some of my family telling me I should have said nothing. Ada for telling my son I have no plans to motivate or support him after he is an adult. My oldest kid is a good kid, but kind of lazy. His mom has always protected him. She has her reasons. Her first husband and child passed away about 22 years ago. 2 years after that, we met, fell in love, got married, and had a kid. Unfortunately for me, our son's birth was a catalyst for a regression for her. He could do no wrong. If I tried to punish or even just correct him, she would get upset and start crying or fight with me. If he found something difficult and I wanted him to work through it or try harder, she would step in and tell me to back off or actually just do it for him. This led to our divorce. I wanted to be a father and not a spectator. She fought so I wouldn't get custody. I ended up with visitation. My kid wouldn't do anything, though. He wouldn't bring his homework over, and all he wanted to do was play video games. If I didn't let him, he had tantrums. It was exhausting, and she would always back him up. It was always my fault. I remarried to my wife, Diane. We have 2 children and are doing our best to raise them right. My son stopped coming over when he was 14. I still invite him, but he rarely responds. My child support just stopped. His mom has been giving it to him to do whatever he wanted for the last 3 years. Not my problem. He called me to see if I could help him with money. I asked what for. He said that his mom can't give him the allowance he is used to. I asked if he was going to be attending some sort of post-secondary school. He said no. I told him to get a job. His mom has lost her shit. She said she will take me back to court, so her poor baby can live his life his way. I wished for the odds to be ever in her favor and hung up. Now that he is an adult, I never have to talk to her again. It's too bad because I loved her very much. Not anymore. My son asked me to help him find a job. I said I would. I told him to send me his resume. I've been waiting 3 weeks for it. He called me yesterday to see if I had made any progress on finding him a job. I said he never sent me his resume. He got upset that I hadn't reminded him. It was one thing. I told him that I was not going to motivate him to do anything, that I would be here if he needed help, but that it would never be money again. I let him come over and helped him with a resume. I also talked to him about the trades or community college. He is beginning to understand how fucked his future is, now that his mom cannot do everything for him. He is upset with his mother now because he doesn't have life skills. She is mad at me for showing him the truth